right. Welcome back to East West Coast Sports, everyone. Man, if I would have said that we would have started this first 9 games, 6-3, 7 of them on the road, I think a lot of us as Warriors fans would have been pretty happy about that. Tough loss last night, but honestly, it's as good of a loss as you're going to get with considering the circumstances, right? Really slow start. Steph, didn't want to shoot the ball until the second quarter. Wiggins continues to struggle, and we were playing a really good team. Obviously they didn't have Jamal Murray, but Jokic is still Jokic. They got a lot of really good role players. They're a big, fast defensive team. So either way, if we would have won this game, would have felt really good about how the team performed. But a 3-point loss, not the worst thing in the world. Let's get it out of the way. Man, Wiggins is really in a slump here shooting. From what I saw last night, his defensive effort was great. He was fighting over screens. He was defending super well. Obviously, he didn't have the assignment of Jamal Murray, so that makes his life a little bit easier. But overall, I feel like his confidence in his shot is just really not there right now. He didn't hit a 3. I think overall he was 4 for 13 from the field. And this sort of goes back to the point of who is our secondary go-to scorer? In my opinion, it probably should be Klay, but Wiggins should be that secondary scorer, some nights, right? And he's going from, I believe he was 18 a game last season or the 2022 season to 13 a game on lower efficiencies. And, there's speculation that he's recovering from some injury that the Warriors haven't disclosed, some potential rib injury or something. He's rehabbing. I don't know. Whatever it is no doubt affecting the start of these games and affecting the outcome of these games. Now, I don't want him on the bench, every night to close games out. I like him in the starting lineup defending. But, without his consistent scoring, without his, efficient scoring, it's going to make Curry's job that much harder, Klay's job that much harder, and it's going to also require some of our other guys to really step up and fill in that scoring gap. So it's really discouraging to see, especially after 9 games. You'd hope that after 5 or so he'd start to get right, but we'll see. I mean, he's still one of our best players, and we need him. If this is going to be a championship contending team, we need Wiggins to be better. Definitely felt the absence of Draymond and GP2 last night. Draymond, for whatever reason, he's got a good feel for what Jokic likes to do. He's a strong guy, and he can, hold his ground when Jokic is really pounding the ball near or in the paint. GP2, obviously a fast wing defender, someone who can leak out to hit a corner 3. Both those guys were really missed. GP2 is a big rotational guy. I think he connects that bench unit lineup really well with his defense. That bench unit goes Chris Paul, GP2, Kuminga, Moody, and Charch. And it's a really good bench lineup. After the game, I was talking to one of my buddies, and Denver's bench is a little suspect. I don't really know what their bench is going to look like in a playoff series or against really good teams. Our bench unit across the board was a plus in the box score. I'm really liking what we're getting from the bench unit. I love Chris Paul just running that, just being a true point guard and also the adult in the room. I think it's really benefited Kuminga. It's really benefited Moody. And it just takes some pressure off of, some of the other guys, and they can just really fill the role, right? Denver's offense without Murray, while it's Jokic heavy, is really slow, right? You saw them dump the ball either in the paint, on the elbow, or at the 3-point line to Jokic, and he was diming up some players, cutting, he was pounding against Looney, making some tough shots. That little baby hook that he has, man, that thing is unguardable. Does he make that 100% of the time? It's unreal how good of a, in the paint shooter Jokic is. But, that's why he's arguably the best player in the world. That's why he's a 2-time MVP, an NBA champ here. It's crazy to see, Loon doesn't get beat by bigs a lot in this league. He's a really good defender. He can hold his ground, but Jokic is just on that another level. Him and Embiid really are the only two that just can really beat Looney in the big battle there. But I think the Denver's offense without Murray is really stagnant. MPJ hit some big shots, but it's just really slow. It's really grindy, and I think that's why this game overall was a pretty low-scoring game. But they need Murray. Obviously, Murray's their second best player. They need Murray to go and contend for back-to-back title there. Looks like with his hamstring injury, he is going to be out for the rest of November. You just don't want to mess with those hamstring injuries. They can come back to bite you. From what I heard, he was dealing with the hamstring. He played another game, and then that's when he really tweaked it. So it's just you got to take those really serious today. Second half, Warriors caught a rhythm. Curry was hitting some threes off the dribble, leaning, coming off of screens. Curry is just one of those guys that I never get tired of watching, play his brand of basketball. I think it's so much fun to watch. I think a lot of just hoop heads love watching Curry play, even if you're not a Warriors fan in general. He just has, he has spurts where he's just unguardable. Like, what do? You put KCP on him, you put, whoever, you put good defenders on Steph, and he's going to find a way to get open, either drive to the rim where, he's really efficient, or get that step back three. And he was hitting the step back threes. His mid-range wasn't there last night, which I thought he could have used just to get going a little bit more. But he was hitting his threes. I believe he was 6 for 13 on threes. Great percentage there. We needed every single one of them. I personally would have loved to see him, try a three at the very last possession there against KCP. I thought he had the step there. He got past him, and Jokic wasn't sliding over, so maybe he could have taken one more step, but he thought, this defender's going to come over. I would have loved to see him just step back, take the three, and either win, have a chance to win the game, or that was that. I don't love that he tried to go for the tie. Warriors were already gassed in this game. You could see it from the jump. Last game of what felt like, every game has been on the road. We've only had 2 games at home so far out of 9. So it just felt like, let's win this, or, let's just go home, right? I thought it was an interesting decision for him to try to blow past KCP and just tie the game there. Can't be mad at it. It's Steph Curry. You live and die by him. Now, I did think that Wiggins and CP taking off the bounce threes just wasn't the move in the last couple minutes of the game. Obviously, Wiggins struggling, CP3 struggling too. I mean, his mid-range has been great as of late, but his three ball, he's had 2 good games shooting the three, and I just felt like in this slog fest of a game, give it to Steph or run a play for Clay, to get open. Clay was shooting the ball pretty well. It just felt like those were 2 wasted possessions that we should have had a chance to take the lead. So those were tough. In the moment, I understand, players having that feel like, hey, I'm going to rise up and hit this shot. But considering the circumstances, it just felt like there were better options. So what do we got next? We got a long homestand. It looks like the next 20 out of 25 games are at home, which will be great. We got some tough games coming up. We got Minnesota back-to-back. We got Cleveland again, which, their bigs give us trouble. OKC's a really good team. But it's always better to play them at home. They're going to get some rest, and I think it's going to be, a positive record coming out of this homestand. So really excited for those games. I am going to talk a little bit about the rookies in a separate video. I've been super, super impressed with Trayce Jackson-Davis. In the minutes that Podziemski has gotten, he's also really impressed as well. He was slotted to be sort of like, all right, we're going to draft him. Maybe he'll play some G League. Maybe he'll come in when we need an extra point guard. He's already taken over Corey Joseph's spot. I would like to see Corey Joseph play a little bit more. I thought that one game that he came in and he was a -10 in 5 minutes or whatever. Yeah, tough, right? But it's not like he's a bad player. Podziemski, though, man, he's bouncy. He's a real 6'4" size point guard. He just plays with a really good feel to the game. He's got a decent shot. So I'd love to see him get a little bit more run. They put him in last night, and I thought the spot minutes that he did get, he played really well. Again, going back to our bench, I think our bench is our biggest strength right now. It's Steph Curry, bench, and then it's cohesion. I don't know. the bench unit has been destroying other teams' second unit, and that's gonna help us a lot in a lot of games, and then also when we go to the playoffs. So look out for that video. Let me know what you guys think. How do you feel about the Warriors after 9 games? What are your thoughts on Wiggins? Let me know in the comments below. Really appreciate it, and talk to you guys later.